Boston Celtics are quietly transforming into something far more dangerous than many people expected at the start of this season, and recent developments have made one thing unmistakably clear. Their newest weapon is not a blockbuster trade, a superstar return, or a sudden change in philosophy. It is their bench. Night after night, the Celtics' second unit is reshaping the identity of this team, pushing Boston closer and closer to true contender status in a way that feels both unexpected and completely earned. The latest example came in one of the ugliest games imaginable, a grinding win over the Chicago Bulls that said far more about the Celtics than any highlight-filled blowout ever could. This was not a game defined by beautiful shot-making or offensive rhythm. It was a rock fight from the opening tip, the kind of matchup that tests patience, discipline, and mental toughness. Early on, neither team could find any offensive flow. Shots clanged off the rim, possessions dragged on, and the scoreboard barely moved. By the time the first substitutions were made, Boston held only a slim 2-point advantage, and the game felt like it could swing in either direction at any moment. Everything changed. As soon as Luka Garza, Hugo Gonzalez, and Anfernee stepped onto the floor together, the energy in the building shifted. The Celtics suddenly played faster, more physical, and more connected. Possessions extended. Loose balls were chased down. Rebounds that had been falling into Chicago's hands earlier in the night were now being ripped away by green jerseys. What had been a tight, uncomfortable contest turned into a steadily growing Boston lead. And by the end of the first quarter, the Celtics were suddenly up by 17 points. That swing did not come from hot shooting. It did not come from flashy plays or isolation scoring. It came from effort, chemistry, and an understanding of roles that has become the defining trait of this Celtics bench. Over the past several games, this trio has been nothing short of dominant in the minutes they have shared. In a relatively small but meaningful sample, lineups featuring Garza, Gonzalez, and Simons have posted an elite net rating that jumps off the page. More importantly, the eye test confirms what the numbers suggest. These players feed off one another. They move with purpose. They anticipate where their teammates will be. They play with a level of urgency that forces opponents to match their intensity or get buried. Against Chicago, that urgency showed itself in the margins of the game. Boston struggled mightily to put the ball in the basket during the first half, shooting well under 40% from the field. On many nights, that kind of inefficiency would spell disaster. But instead of panicking or abandoning their approach, the Celtics leaned into the areas they could control. They crashed the offensive glass relentlessly. They pressured passing lanes. They rotated defensively with precision. They simply outworked the Bulls. By halftime, despite their shooting woes, Boston had built a massive lead. The reason was simple. They took far more shots than Chicago. They created second chances. They dominated possession. By the time the final buzzer sounded, the Celtics had attempted 18 more field goals than their opponent. In a game where every basket felt hard-earned, that difference was overwhelming. This kind of win is exactly the blueprint head coach Joe Mazula has been preaching since the beginning of his tenure. He has always emphasized winning the margins, rebounding, hustle, effort plays, doing the small things consistently. To Mazula, those areas are not secondary. They are the foundation of sustainable success. Against the Bulls, his vision came to life in its purest form. The bench embodied that philosophy from start to finish. Luka Garza brought physicality and intelligence in the paint, setting strong screens, battling for rebounds, and making smart decisions with the ball. Hugo Gonzalez injected energy and athleticism, flying around the court and creating chaos for the opposing offense. Anfernee provided scoring punch when needed, but also showed maturity in picking his spots and staying engaged even when his shot was not falling early. Jordan Walsh added another layer to that group, using his length and motor to generate extra possessions and disrupt Chicago's rhythm. Together, these players combined to secure half of Boston's offensive rebounds on the night, a staggering number that tells the entire story of the game. Afterward, Simons spoke about the mindset that has defined this stretch of basketball. Every game presents a different challenge, and the key is being willing to do whatever it takes in that moment. Sometimes that means scoring. Other times it means defending, rebounding, or simply bringing energy. This flexibility has become the calling card of the Celtics bench, and it is why they have been so effective. Mazula echoed that sentiment, emphasizing role definition and connectivity. Every player on the roster understands what is expected of them. There is clarity from top to bottom. When players know their role and trust that their teammates will do the same, execution becomes second nature. The game slows down. Decisions become easier. Effort becomes instinctive. What makes this development so significant is how it raises the Celtics' ceiling. Earlier in the season, depth was considered one of Boston's biggest weaknesses. The roster had lost key veterans. Injuries loomed. Questions surrounded whether the team could survive long stretches without elite shot-making or star-level dominance. Those concerns are fading with each passing game. Instead, Boston now looks like a team with multiple ways to win. If the starters carry the load offensively, the bench supports them with defense and rebounding. If the starters struggle, the bench steps in to stabilize the game and swing momentum. This versatility is what separates good teams from true contenders. The confidence this group is building cannot be overstated. Players who were once fighting for minutes are now playing with authority. They are not tentative. They are not hesitant. They are decisive. That confidence feeds into the rest of the roster and creates a collective belief that no situation is too difficult to overcome. There is also a psychological toll this takes on opponents. When teams prepare for Boston, they cannot simply game plan for the starting lineup. They must account for a bench unit that plays with pace, physicality, and cohesion. That makes matchups harder. It shortens rotations, it forces mistakes. As the Celtics continue to climb the standings, wins like this one over Chicago stand out as defining moments. They may not be remembered for their aesthetics, but they will be remembered for what they reveal about this team's identity. This is a group that is comfortable being uncomfortable. A team that can grind out wins when shots are not falling. A roster that trusts its depth and embraces the grind. The emergence of this bench has shifted the conversation around Boston. They are no longer simply surviving the challenges of the season. They are adapting, evolving, and finding new strengths along the way. Each game adds another layer to their identity, and with each passing week, the Celtics look more and more like a team built for the long haul. What makes this stretch even more impressive is the consistency. This is not a one-game anomaly. The bench has been delivering impact performances for weeks, steadily improving their chemistry and understanding of one another. That growth suggests sustainability rather than a fleeting hot streak. In the broader context of the season, this development could not have come at a better time. As the playoff picture begins to take shape, teams that can rely on depth often gain a crucial edge. Fatigue, injuries, and matchup challenges test every roster. Boston's ability to deploy a group of high-energy contributors off the bench gives them flexibility and resilience that few teams can match. This is how contenders are built. Not always through headline-grabbing moves, but through internal growth, role acceptance, and collective effort. The Celtics are discovering that their newest weapon was already in the building, waiting for the opportunity to define itself. Perhaps most importantly, this bench plays with pride. They take ownership of their impact. They understand that their job is not glamorous, but it is vital. That pride fuels it, and effort fuels winning. As the season progresses, the Celtics bench will continue to be tested. Opponents will adjust, scouting reports will evolve. The challenge will be sustaining this level of intensity and execution when the stakes rise. But if recent performances are any indication, this group is more than ready for that challenge. Boston has found something real here, something tangible, something that changes how this team is perceived and how it competes. The bench is no longer just a supporting cast. It is a weapon, one that grows sharper with every game. And if you want to stay locked in on every development like this, every shift that changes the Celtics' future, and every moment that defines this season, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's next.